Well, hey everyone, welcome to Mercy Talk. This is one of your hosts, Melanie Wise, and I am joined today with Rachel Thomas and Erin Gentry.
What's up, y'all?
I'm trying to announce y'all as if like we were on a stage. That's what I was feeling inside.
We felt it.
And the crowd roars.
We were feeling it.
Well, everyone, today we are going to we're going to get into some stuff that's very, basic teaching to who Mercy is and what we're about. But it's for a very specific purpose. We are about to embark on something that we're very excited about here in the outreach department at Mercy. And it's something that we have done to some extent earlier this year, but we're about to do it like next level, y'all, and I'm really excited about it. So for any of you listeners who've been around MercyTalk or you've been around our outreach team around Mercy for long, you know that back in, it's almost comical to refer to things from earlier in the year because it feels like a lifetime ago.
A long time ago, yes.
When did we do this? April, I think, was when we started our Keys to Freedom boot camp. We were in the thick of the early days of COVID when everyone was looking at each other going, what is happening? And we were so excited for the first time to get our Keys to Freedom content online. We had never we've done podcasts on our Keys to Freedom, and obviously we talk a lot about them at our workshops and things like that, but this was really the first time we had done anything quite like this. And so I'm not going to tell a lot of details because I think, Erin, I'm going to pass that to you, but one thing I will say is that we're about to do something similar over the coming weeks this fall, and we're going to dive into our Keys to Freedom content again online, but we're going to do it kind of with a new, when we did the boot camp earlier this year, it was kind of this like you come, you sign up for all 8 weeks, you do the whole thing, you do all this homework. It's a pretty significant commitment.
Yeah.
And guys, let's be honest. People get really, really excited about committing to something at first.
Mm-hmm.
And it gets harder as every week passes.
Yes.
It's harder, especially during the season that we were in, and let's be honest, still are in. So we're excited this time around to actually start offering these teachings as we would say, standalone teachings, to say, hey, you may not be able to commit to being part of this whole thing, but each of these keys that we talk about are really powerful in and of themselves. They do work together, but they can also absolutely kind of be processed through individually as well. So that's kind of the different take we're gonna do this time around. But Erin, I'm gonna pass to you just to kind of give people a little more information on what they could expect if they'd like to be part of that. And then that's not all we're gonna talk about today, y'all. We're gonna get into some meat here in a little bit, but we want to lead in by talking about this series that we're about to do.
Yeah, I would love to tell you some more information. I'm so excited. I'll say this too. When we did this earlier in the year, we did it as a solution, kind of something we could offer in the midst of such a difficult season when this was all starting. And what we received was a response that said, oh, this is needed. This content, this material needs to be out there online and accessible. And so that's why we're doing it again so quickly. It's just been a few months and we are like, we've got to do this again. So we're pumped.
Funny story about that, Erin. I'm literally going back to the conversation when we decided to launch that boot camp. I remember we were like, maybe we'll get like 40 or 50 people that'll sign up to be part of it. And I remember being on the phone with our founder and president, Nancy Alcorn. And for anybody who knows anything about Nancy Alcorn, you know that she is a woman of faith and big vision.
Yes.
So I remember telling her that we were going to do this boot camp, and she was like, I'm going to pray for 1,000 people to be part of this thing. And we were like, okay,
that's cool.
That sounds good. That sounds like Nancy, such a crazy number. And then our first night, how many? 1,200 views?
Oh, we had 1,400.
1,400 views on the first one. So I was laughing when we were like, we just thought maybe some people would be interested. And like you said, the response was crazy. It was crazy.
Yes. Oh my gosh. So I'm so excited that we're doing it again, and excited to tell you some of these details. Then we'll get into kind of the meat of what we're talking about in this podcast, which is we're going to really dig into one of the foundational pieces, not just to Keys to Freedom, but to everything that we do here at Mercy. So stick in with us, but just some details. These are going to be 20-minute teachings. It's a kind of a taking all the things that you would go through in a week to go over one key in the study and putting it into a 20-minute teaching, so that it can be a refresher if you've been through the study before. It can be an intro if you've always wanted to do the Keys to Freedom study, or maybe this is the first time you're hearing about it. You're like, wait, what is this discipleship study you guys are talking about? It sounds incredible. It is life transforming. It's literally what our residents are going through in the homes, week to week, day to day in their time. This is a great way just to jump into this material. So 20-minute teachings, and then it's going to be followed by some conversation Q&A. So if you're a podcaster, you love conversations.
True.
You like listening to people drop truth bombs and conversation. That's what's going to be happening right after this. So seriously, that's for you. These are going to be live. They're going to be on Thursdays at 7 p.m. on Facebook Live. That's how you're going to join in. So all you have to do is go to Facebook, type in Keys to Freedom Teaching Series, and join the group. And that means you'll be in the group. You'll get our notifications when we're going live, 7 p.m. every other Thursday, starting August 13th. So that's when we're starting this out. And
they can sign up for that like now.
Right now.
Yeah.
Right now. And if you're listening to this podcast later and it's past August 13th, you can still sign up, because we're going to be doing these all the way through November 19th is when our final session will be. So why not jump in? Why not come and check out one of the nights? Maybe one topic is highlighted to you. Maybe you really need to renew your mind during this time. There's been so much swirling in mine, I know. And just getting that refresher, renewing your mind. It's not just a Mercy idea. It's a God idea. It's a Bible idea. We're not making this stuff up. We're just packaging it so you can go through it. So very excited about all of that. It's going to be really cool. And I think that's the basic topics. So boom, boom, boom. Let's jump in.
Emphasize enough, like how important it is for people to know that you do not have to commit to being part of every night. If you're part of this group, you do not have to commit to doing all the homework every week. This is very, very low commitment. If you just want to pop in, listen to the teaching, and that's it. But we're going to give you the opportunity to engage as much as you want to engage. But also, what we really didn't want was for people to say, oh man, they're already on key 6 and I didn't get keys 1 through 5, so I might as well not join at this point. We really are going to be very intentional about making sure that you get something out of every night, whether you attend 1 or all 8. So join us at any time.
Yeah, it's going to be good. It's going to be
good. Just be blessed. Be blessed.
Be blessed. Come and be blessed. Yeah, I'm excited about this one. I'm excited too, because it's going to be kind of like you said, those 20-minute increments. So very bite-sized, very able to come and get something practical. We love that word here. But the other thing that I'm excited about this is just the tangible way of breaking down each of the teachings. And that's kind of what we want to do today, because really something that's so central to the Mercy teachings is this idea of the root system. I mean, even, when you see the cover of Keys to Freedom, it's like a little plant, and there's pictures inside the book. Of course, if you've done the study, you know what we're talking about. But the reason this is such a big deal is because it affects just the way that I really, like, since I have been here at Mercy and understand what Mercy is about, it's changed the way I see healing and freedom and transformation. All that to say, today we kind of wanted to take a moment to break down the idea, or go back to this idea of what the root system is. Because again, it really it infiltrates so many things in Keys to Freedom study, but really this idea of whether it's my own life or wanting to help somebody else, you can't just address the behaviors like, man, I've got this eating disorder, I really need to get better. Or, man, I have this drinking problem, I just need to stop. Whatever that behavior is. Or even, man, I have a people-pleasing issue and I just need to fix this behavior. Really what we're talking about here is getting to what's at the root, essentially, which is why we call it the root system, and get to what's going on underneath. Maybe even things that we've covered up and buried and maybe even denied have been an issue, and allow God to start really kind of at the core, maybe even some of those core lies that we've believed early on. So Mel, I would love for you to even hop in on this one, because oh my goodness, like initially my first experience with the root system was some of our early conversations that we had, and even with Keys to Freedom. So I'd love if maybe you would help us understand just this concept better.
Yeah, sure. I mean, for anybody who doesn't know what we're talking about here, just to kind of give you like a very, very brief rundown of what we're referring to when we refer to this root system. It's really just the overall concept behind it is that when we are on our own healing journey, or when we're helping another person through theirs, the goal is not fixing the external issue. The goal is an inner transformation. That's kind of what the whole tree analogy is trying to get at the end of the day. But to really draw out that picture, we just talk about the different elements of a tree. And you know, when you look at a tree, I'm looking at a lot of trees outside. I have a lot of trees outside my window right now. And I'm like, when I look at a tree, I look at the leaves and the branches. I don't ever like pay attention to the trunk of a tree.
Yeah.
I'm never like, wow, it's quite a trunk.
Look at that trunk.
Yeah, I never
awesome.
look at it. I never pay attention. And I hardly ever think about the fact that there's a root system underneath it.
Yeah.
Or, you know, some root systems are actually bigger than the trees themselves. And I'm like, I never think about that. I never imagine what's happening under the ground. I'm paying attention to what I see. And that's what my focus is on. And so we can do that with our lives. Like, we look at our lives and we look at the branches and the leaves, if you will, on our tree, the tree of our life, if you will. And so what we say is, like, when you look at a tree, the branches, how that looks kind of in our lives, the branches would be like our behaviors. It would be like the things that are the most obvious.
Yeah.
I mean, I can literally watch somebody in Target and watch the way they behave, and like within minutes tell you things about their behavior, because it's obvious, it's right in front of my face. And so that can tend to be, that can be anything. That can be positive things, that can be negative things, that can be like examples that you just said, Rachel, you know, people pleasing, overeating, self-harm, you know, manipulation, those types of things that people can either see immediately or at least pretty quickly once they get to know you. That's what we would characterize as like branches on the tree. Now, most people think that at the end of the day, the branches are the problem.
Right.
That's my problem. I have an issue with people pleasing. I have an issue with overeating. I have an issue and I need this issue to be fixed. That's very natural. Like, of course you think that. And, you know, a lot of times, even when young women come into our residential program at Mercy, they're like, well, how do you work with people who self-harm as opposed to people who have an eating disorder, or as opposed to people who have an addiction? And while there is an element that has to be looked at when it comes to the actual presenting issues, if you will, the process is very similar from girl to girl, because at the end of the day, that's not actually the issue. As we would say at our workshops, most people think that's the problem, but it's actually just a bad solution to another deeper problem. So to go a little deeper on the tree, the trunk, we say, is the belief system. And so that's the belief system that a person has developed over the course of their lives. It's the things they believe about themselves. That's kind of the first place people go when they think about lies that I believe. It's always like lies that I believe about myself, because those can sometimes just be the most like oppressive lies that we believe. It's like things that I've been either overtly told, or that the world has somehow told me through different life experiences, that I am unlovable, that I am stupid, that whatever that might be. But also some other really important things to consider with the belief system is what you believe about God. I mean, I know in my own journey, that has been almost as much of a big assault from the enemy as anything. Is like, God doesn't see you.
Yeah.
Whoa.
God isn't out for your good. God doesn't love you the way, God doesn't see you that way. God, and so it's lies about God.
Just to outline it to everybody, these are lies.
Yeah.
Right.
These are not truths.
Right.
They're not,
Just
they're
in
not
case
truths.
you're wondering.
Yeah, these are
Do
things
not
that
play
the
those
enemy,
over and over again.
Yeah.
The enemy says.
But also, in addition to those two things about lies about ourselves, lies about God, there's also just lies about the world around you, about the people around you. It can be things like, you know, maybe you had a really bad experience with an authority figure in your life, and you're like, no authority figures can be trusted. No authority figures are out for my good. Or, you know, we've had young women who've come into our program who said, every man is out to hurt me. There are no men that are out for my good, you know, because of what they've experienced in their life. So the belief system can capture any of those different things about God, about yourself, about the world around you, or people around you. And then finally, to kind of get into the whole conversation where we're headed here, it's the roots. And the roots of the tree you don't see. I mean, y'all, I know the two of you pretty well. I don't know all the things going on the root level of your life.
Yeah.
We don't even half the time know what is happening in the root levels of our own lives.
Yeah.
Those are much deeper. They're harder to see. They're harder to maybe, I guess, figure out. That's why you really need the Lord to be part of this process, because he is very aware of what's happening at the root level of your life. But basically, those roots, those are the main issue. That's the source. That's where it all comes from. And so the roots draw all of their power from the different things that we've experienced in our lives. Sometimes for me in the picture, it's like the soil is like the different things we've experienced, and it grows either healthy roots or unhealthy roots, usually a combination of both.
Sure.
But some examples of roots could be like rejection, shame, bitterness, fear. And so those are the things that are ultimately feeding our belief system, and also feeding all of those behaviors and all of those external things that we really wish were different or wish could change in our lives. And so that's really kind of how that whole thing plays out.
But I think it's important to remember that this is built up over time too. Like, it's not like, oh, I just all of a sudden had this shopping problem or this eating problem or whatever, that this is layers and layers. And we talk about healing comes in layers, but I think it's also just for our own issues that we think, oh, well, I'm fine. Like, I mean, like, I don't know. I think it's easy to assume like what's going on in our immediate life right here is, oh, it's okay. I'll work it out. But know that like, we're talking a lifetime of like childhood. And I think I just look at my life and I think, oh, wow. Well, when you take all that into perspective, that's a lot of stuff. That's a lot of roots.
That's a lot of stuff. And you know what I think is good to remember too, is that a lot of people, especially even when we do this teaching, a lot of people assume what we're talking about is, like significant life controlling issues or life destructive issues. This can even look like things that really from the outside looking in don't look that bad. I think the example that I often will share at our workshops is about like my probably one of my greatest struggles that I continue to get more and more free from is perfectionism. It's like, and that's just kind of like one of those things that people are like, oh yeah, big struggle. No, it's an area of full on bondage in my life. And for me to say, oh, well, it's not that bad. No, there's an area, the external thing that people see or how it expresses itself isn't nearly as important as what's actually happening way deep down inside of me. And I'm like, I am becoming more aware of what's happening deep down inside of me. And that's oppressive. That's bondage. And so however it's playing out, those are the things that's actually where freedom lies. Because I could maybe work myself, probably not, but I could maybe just like willpower my way out of that. Like, I'm just not going to be a perfectionist. In fact, I'm just going to do stuff bad on purpose to get myself out of this perfectionistic funk, and I mean, maybe I could willpower my way out of that, but all of that yucky stuff is still in my root system, is still in my belief system. So that's not freedom. So you just fixing that external stuff, that's not freedom. In fact, that usually creates more bondage because you're wearing yourself out. You're exhausted trying to fix something that isn't actually the problem.
Good. And I mean, right now we're kind of talking about this from the perspective of ourselves and looking into ourselves, but this is so helpful, this root system idea, when looking at others. When you look at other people, just to take that moment to realize there's so much more going on. I'm going to relate this to road rage. Just imagine, maybe they're transporting a wedding cake, you don't know why they're driving like that. Like, they might have a reason, but it's the idea of like, you don't know why that branch is there. You can assume, you can try to, okay, what if I pruned it this way? I'm going all plant analogy here and did all this, but I actually have a plant at home and I've tried to nurse it back and prune the branches. I have no idea what to do with the roots. But now I've just been like, okay, this is a root issue. There's something going on in the roots, and the hope with the root system, one is that's what you have to address is the roots. And when you don't know how to address the roots, that's where we have the hope of Jesus. That's where, just like me with my plant, I don't know what to do, but when the Lord comes to me and reveals to me either an unhealthy branch, or sometimes he's just going to come and talk to me about a root thing or something for somebody else, he's the one that's going to come in and do the work. He's going to tell us the directions we need to go. And when he highlights a root that is an issue, he's saying, okay, I'm going to come and heal this. I'm going to tell you how. It is going to still involve participation on our part, because God is good. He does things all by our choice, and we are free to invest in our freedom and seek that, or to not. He gives us that option from the very beginning. He always gave us a choice. And so it's still going to involve our participation, but the Lord's going to do that work where it feels kind of like, I don't know what to do. If I saw the branch, I could just cut it off. But with the roots, that seems a little complicated.
Yeah.
It is, but just know that it's not something that you have to do alone. That's the hope that we have as people who know the Lord. So behavior modification is not the answer.
Yeah.
The roots are about inward transformation. Let's go.
That's right. Y'all. Well, that's exactly what I was about to say. Erin was like, this is why we say that true freedom is not possible outside of Jesus Christ. Yeah. Because I do not believe that the kind of transformation that we are talking about is possible through any counselor. Listen, counselors are good. I love counselors. They're very important. But if they're not being, I guess, utilized in partnership with transformation through Jesus and the Holy Spirit, then you're only going to get so far. Like, I believe that Jesus has to be part of this process if we actually want to experience true freedom. Yeah. Because when we're talking about root stuff, like there's a transformation process that has to happen that I just only believe is possible through Jesus. And so I think you're right on with that. That's why we do what we do, and why Jesus has to be part of it.
Yeah. And can it be both? Can it be divine healing and I worked at it?
Absolutely.
I think it can be both.
You even said that. You said partnering.
Yeah.
That's what I've been using that word so much more lately, just even in my time with the Lord. It's like, Lord, show me what it looks like for me to partner with you in this.
Not him partner with me. I'm partnering with him.
Right. Yes. Because there is absolutely a place that if anybody thinks you can just sit back and be like, Lord, fix me. And that's as easy, man. It is not that easy. Yeah. It's not that easy. The Lord desires for us to partner with him in that place. So I think that's really important. Yeah. And I would just say that I think my last thoughts on this would just be that, we have been going through, if anybody out there thinks Keys to Freedom is just something we use in our residential program, you are sorely mistaken. Keys to Freedom is something, yes, that all of the residents in our program go through. The people who are now part of our outpatient program in Monroe, Louisiana are going to be going through this. And then, even us as a staff, this is something that's vitally important for each of us to continue to grow in. So much so, we're actually going through this with our staff here. And so the leadership team has been going through Keys to Freedom over the last few weeks. And I have just been struck as I have gone through it, and I was part of writing the original study, and I've been I've been teaching this for years, and I'm realizing more and more, like, I'm not done. There's never a point where I have arrived. And Rachel, I think you said something about this earlier, but if we think that our deep-rooted issues are not significantly impacting our lives right now, we're just mistaken. Yeah. I think, and this is going to almost sound like maybe potentially a little bit like hopeless sounding. It's not what I mean, but the Lord did I think whenever I was doing Keys to Freedom a couple of weeks ago, the Lord kind of reminded me and showed me, like, hey, Melanie, you don't actually realize how much those roots and some of those lies that still haven't quite been dealt with, you don't even know how much those are impacting your life. Wow. They're impacting your life more than you even know. Now that can sound like really discouraging and like, oh no, oh God, but it just reminded me what it was actually very life-giving to me and just motivating to me to stay on the journey, to keep pushing, to keep growing, to keep utilizing these keys in my life. I just think the Lord reminded me of that, and showed me that, like, I think you mentioned it earlier, Rachel, it's a life journey. It's a life process.
Yeah.
It doesn't stop. And it's just like glory to glory to glory.
Yes.
Thank you,
Yes.
Jesus. I'm more free today than I was 10 years ago. And I hope in 10 years I can say I'm more free then. That is part of this side of heaven, is we never fully arrive.
Yes.
It's actually
that's so
really
good.
great. It's good news.
It actually is good news, because I think sometimes we can, especially if you've grown up in the church and you've done any kind of freedom ministry, sometimes in our own just limited view of life, we can think, well, I guess this is as free as I'm ever going to be. And then you can kind of get stumped almost like, man, this does not feel like the abundant life Jesus promised. This does not feel like freedom. And so to know that like his freedom is so much bigger, and it's a continued ongoing process of surrendering to him and letting him continue that good work in our hearts is encouraging. So
yeah. I'll say one more thing too. You know, Melanie, you were talking about, you know, thinking, okay, I'm already this free, you know, but there's more. I would even say to anybody who's just feeling hopeless, like I am at rock bottom, or I don't know what to do. Everything's just coming in on me, just to recognize, just to take some of that shame off yourself. Like there's more to the story than just your current circumstances. Like you're not just getting over your current circumstances. There's stuff that's built into our lives, and we can't go back and change some of the choices we made or things that were done to us, but the Lord can come in and heal those roots. So wherever you find yourself, if it's, you know, freedom can get some more freedom, or if you feel like you're walking in complete bondage, there's no blame game. There's no, you should have done better. There's none of that. There's just come now as you are, and know that it's not just the branches, it's not just your current circumstances, but there's other things at play. When you look at others and when you look at yourself, and the Lord can reveal what those other things are, and he'll reveal them slowly and in good time as you walk with him. It won't be all at once, one big bombardment. He'll go one at a time. Even when we do Healing Life's Hurts, we always say, don't go searching. The Lord will reveal the one thing that he wants to work on right now. So just to remember there's more of the story.
Which I think, and I know we want to wrap this up, but I think that gets to like the ultimate good news to this whole teaching is that what you'll find is that as the Lord starts to reveal and heal, and guys, by the way, the reason this is part of Keys to Freedom is because all of the keys that we cover in Keys to Freedom, they are all about getting to the root. They're all about that deeper work, that deeper transformative work. So if you're like, okay, this sounds great, how do I do this? Man, join us. I promise this wasn't just meant to be a commercial, y'all, but I mean, truly, like that's what we would say if someone asked us, how would I do this? Man, get Keys to Freedom or join us for these videos, because that's what it's all about, is allowing the Lord into those places. Because when he does start to do that deeper transformative work, your tree, if you will, just starts to get healthier, and it's getting healthier from the roots. And then all of that unhealthy stuff from the outside doesn't have anything to latch onto anymore. Because as the whole tree gets healthy, the unhealthy stuff, y'all, it just starts to fall off. And I know that might sound a little too Pollyanna, like, yeah, right. Like it would just, we see it all the time. When the Lord starts doing that work, and the girls in our program, we're like, when stuff starts to just fall off and they're like, I don't even have a desire to do that thing anymore, or do that, or go here, whatever that is. It's like, how did that happen? It's because the Lord did the deeper work. So if Aaron, I'm so glad you know, kind of spoke directly to those who maybe feel like they're in that kind of hopeless place where they're like, I've tried everything. I've done everything I possibly can to try to break myself of this or break myself of that. Man, this is where, like, it may be a different approach. It may be a different approach, but it's the approach. It's the only approach that I know that actually works. that really can set somebody free from a deep place. And it's amazing how much less energy you have to spend on the issues because your tree is just healthy. So
that's so good. That's so good. Yes. Well, join us. Like Mel said, join us. You can sign up now. And Aaron, can you tell one more time where they can go to find that? Is it on our Facebook page?
They can go to Facebook and search Keys to Freedom Teaching Series, and they'll be able to join our group.
Okay, awesome. Well, follow us there, join us there. We look forward to seeing you there and to seeing and witnessing what God wants to do over these next few weeks and months in our Keys to Freedom teaching series. And we are praying for renewed freedom for you and for all of us. We'll see you next time on Mercy Talk.
Bye, guys.